Live from Atlanta, this is CNN Newsroom with Lynda Kinkade.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is officially back in the late-night lineup. The comedian made an emotional return to television just a few hours ago after a nearly week-long suspension. Executives at Disney and ABC pulled the show over comments Kimmel made about the suspected killer of political activist Charlie Kirk. The suspension sparked protests as well as heated debate over free speech after threats from the chair of the FCC and other officials. Kimmel received a standing ovation from audience members who interrupted his first monologue back with energetic applause. He addressed the controversy directly, saying he disagreed with the ABC's decision to pull his show and that it was never his intention to make light of Charlie Kirk's death. Kimmel's remarks centered around government threats to free speech in America. Here's part of what he said.
It takes courage for them to speak out against this administration, and they did, and they deserve credit for it, and thanks. For telling their followers that our government cannot be allowed to control what we do and do not say on television, and that we have to stand up to it. I've been hearing a lot about what I need to say and do tonight, and the truth is, I don't think what I have to say is going to make much of a difference. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I have no illusions about changing anyone's mind. But I do want to make something clear because it's important to me as a human, and that is, you understand that it was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man. I don't...
President Trump appears to be threatening legal action once more against the ABC over Kimmel's return. He posted on Truth Social saying Kimmel's 99% positive coverage of Democrat garbage amounts to a major illegal campaign contribution. Trump went on to say last time he went after the ABC, they gave him $16 million, and this one sounds even more lucrative. CNN's Brian Stelter has more on Kimmel's monologue during his first night back on air.
Hey there, yeah, with gratitude and also a note of defiance, Jimmy Kimmel showed that he is back. Not just back on his late-night talk show, but also back fostering a conversation about the state of free speech in the United States. Kimmel had a lot to say after being sidelined for almost a week by ABC and his parent company Disney. He expressed thanks to his bosses, although he also said he did not agree with the decision to put his show on pause last week amid the controversy over his remarks about the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk. I thought it was really telling that Kimmel said his particular show, his platform is not important. What's important is that shows like his are able to exist at all. Here's what he said.
This show is not important. What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this. Yeah.
Kimmel also predicted that ABC and parent company Disney would come under further scrutiny from President Trump and the Trump administration as a result of his show being reinstated. Kimmel called this unfortunate and unjust and made a comment about President Trump being a leader who, quote, celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. And again, Kimmel tried to broaden the conversation out, saying that this is about way more than an individual host or an individual show. He pointed out that President Trump has also singled out Jimmy Fallon, the host of NBC's Tonight Show. And Kimmel urged his viewers to speak out if Fallon or other comedians are also pressured. Watch.
And now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions of dollars.
Kimmel made only one passing reference to the fact that two major station owners, Nexstar and Sinclair, chose to preempt his show in many markets across the United States. This happened in dozens of cities and towns. Essentially, about 20% of the American viewing population wasn't able to watch the show at the usual time slot. However, in the streaming era, pretty much everybody will be able to watch Kimmel's show now on sites like Disney Plus and Hulu. And I suspect that in the coming days, we're going to see streaming data and Nielsen ratings that show Kimmel probably had one of his biggest audiences ever. Brian Stelter, CNN.
Well, earlier I spoke with the Los Angeles Times culture critic Mary McNamara about Kimmel's return. I asked her about the significance of the situation and its political impact. Here's part of that conversation.
I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like this before. I mean, I can't remember there ever being a moment when tuning into a late night show was like striking a blow for democracy or a sign of patriotism. I'll be very interested to see what the ratings are like. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people who may be not regular Kimmel watchers are definitely tuning in tonight to see, what he has to say, how he handles the moment. And as you said, he handled it, I thought, perfectly. I mean, he just hit a wide spectrum of emotions. He was genuinely contrite if people thought that he was in any way trying to diminish the death of Charlie Kirk. That was not his intention. He became emotional. He praised Charlie Kirk's wife for her ability to forgive Charlie Kirk's murderer. He was funny. And then he also, was straight up like this, my show isn't important, but the fact that my show is allowed to exist is important. So hitting, the important freedom of speech notes.
Yeah, and we saw an incredible cameo from Robert De Niro playing a mob-style FCC boss. I just want to play some of that sound.
Depends on what you want to say. Like, you want to say something nice about the president's beautiful thick yellow hair, or how he can do his makeup better than any broad. That's free.
Okay. All right. That seems reasonable.
But if you want to do a joke like he's so fat he needs 2 seats on the Epstein jet, that's a course.
Can I just ask, just for clarity, because it's a pretty good joke, how much would that one cost me?
A couple of fingers, maybe a tooth.
I mean, how did that land, and how effective was that to spotlight these censorship concerns?
So funny. I mean, that was so funny. It also was really, nice because it played off of Ted Cruz's comment about Carr, talking like a mafioso. So you had that kind of across the aisle moment where everybody is agreeing on. I don't think, Robert De Niro usually agrees with Ted Cruz or Jimmy Kimmel for that matter. And that is something also that Kimmel said was, he thanked all the people who he does not agree with and who do not agree with him for speaking out about the suspension. But yeah, I mean, that was just brilliant. It was just amazing and very funny, and will become a classic, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, Mary, he addressed the controversy directly, saying that he didn't mean to offend Erica Kurt, and praised her forgiveness of her husband's, attacker. As a critic, how do you gauge when comedy pushes too far and becomes something more dangerous? When you think back on the comments that were made, I mean, did he push the needle, or was this just a case of a crackdown on free speech?
I think that the jokes that were used as the example of why he should be suspended were not outrageous. They weren't great, and they were poorly worded. I think there was, it was an unclear joke when he was saying about the MAGA group trying to make it out that the killer was anyone but them. And I think that the implication was that he was saying that the killer was a MAGA supporter, when I don't think that's what he was trying to say. In no way did he ever diminish the tragedy. In no way did he cast aspersions on Charlie Kirk. He was speaking only about, the reaction to it, and the fact that, according to him, certain people were using it as kind of a political football, which I don't think is that is not a inaccurate statement. But so no, I didn't think that was pushing the line. I don't think most people did. But there is a way. I mean, when comedians, late night hosts do perhaps offend or cross the line or whatever, there are ways to correct that. They can be warned. They can have they can have like an alternative host for an evening. But to yank the show off the air, that was just, the reaction was just an overreaction to what he actually said. And, and given the optics, whether it's the reality or not, but the optics of having the FCC chairman basically threaten the affiliates then do exactly what he had suggested that he do. And then Disney sort of caved to that. The optics of that was just, astonishing and frightening. And I think that's why you saw this just huge reaction to it, because we've never seen anything like that in this country.
Exactly.
The show suspended after an unelected member of the government called on television affiliates to yank someone from the air, and they did it. I mean, that is very frightening, because it's like, that is exactly what federal government, the FCC is not supposed to do that. The government is not supposed to do that. The president is not supposed to do that. You know, no president likes the media. No president likes late night hosts making fun of them. And they make fun of every president. I mean, like, that's part of the job.